The director of the FBI says Georgia's first terrorism arrests are significant in the country's fight against terror.
Robert Mueller's comments came as he spent the afternoon at the Atlanta FBI field office. The FBI's top man told I-Team reporter Randy Travis a controversial new law played a big role in this Georgia case. Randy.
That's right, Amanda Russ. This appearance today was planned long before the terrorism arrests of 2 Georgia men became public. Mueller was actually in town to talk to staffers and agents about his plans to restructure the Bureau in light of 9/11. As it turns out, his timing could not have been better. FBI Director Robert Mueller paid a visit to the Atlanta field office for the first time in 4 years. A trip coming just days after local agents announced their first terrorism arrests in Georgia since September 11th.
Our #1 priority is prevent another terrorist attack.
Last week, agents from the Atlanta field office flew to Bangladesh to pick up Ehsanul Islam Siddiqui, a Roswell man allegedly implicated by another Georgian, Syed Harris Ahmed, in a plot to help in a future terrorist attack in the United States. Siddiqui is charged with lying to federal agents, Ahmed for providing material support to a terrorist organization. The families of both men say they're innocent.
These arrests are indicative of the necessity that we do not become complacent, that there are individuals who allegedly have sought to gather information and provide information to those who would undertake terrorist attacks within the United States.
The FBI operation, codenamed Northern Exposure, involved a major contribution of manpower from the Atlanta office, part of the Bureau's continuing restructuring plan. Fewer investigations in areas like bank robberies, a greater focus on terrorism. Can you tell us whether the Patriot Act, the provisions of the Patriot Act, helped you in making these 2 Georgia arrests last week?
It certainly did, in the sense that the Patriot Act broke down the walls between the criminal side of the House and the intelligence side of the House.
In fact, a source familiar with the investigation told the I-Team the Patriot Act was so helpful, Georgia Senator Saxby Chambliss was personally briefed on the Georgia terrorism case as it unfolded. A key member of the Senate Intelligence Committee, Chambliss fought to renew the controversial law earlier this year. Senator Chambliss did not respond to a call for comment. Director Mueller also offered few details. How close did this alleged conspiracy come to actually pulling off a terrorist attack on U.S. soil?
Well, I'm not going to get into the specifics of the case.
According to a federal affidavit released last week, Syed Ahmed, who agents always called by his middle name Harris, cooperated with the FBI beginning in March. But 2 weeks ago, a source says that cooperation stopped. Now Ahmed has been transferred to the Atlanta Federal Penitentiary. Sources say more arrests are expected, both in Canada and overseas. Meaning Director Mueller may be offering congratulations yet again in Georgia's first federal terrorism investigation. Director Mueller also defended his decision to award Georgia-based ChoicePoint a $12 million contract. ChoicePoint paid a record fine last year for a security breach in its data collection system. Mueller says the FBI bought a software package from ChoicePoint that will help his analysts better do their jobs. And he said it's unrelated to any of the problems that ChoicePoint had last year.
Yeah. All right. As you point out, the Patriot Act has been somewhat controversial. What do the federal authorities say was the most important part of that act that helped them in this Georgia terrorism case?
Well, Mueller wouldn't talk about any specifics, but keep in mind the Patriot Act does allow the federal government, it makes it easier for the federal government to conduct electronic surveillance on Americans in the United States. And in those court papers that were filed last week, there is a brief mention of court-ordered electronic surveillance, i.e. wiretapping, involving one of those 2 defendants, one of the 2 Georgia men currently facing charges. I'm told to expect a lot more in that area coming up as this case unfolds.
All right, we'll look for it. Thank you.